Welcome to Kapow. Comics, cartoons and collectibles are our life. I'm Sonya. Ow.
And I'm Al. We pretty much live here at King's Comics at the moment,
We
don't
do
we?
indeed.
How
Yes.
cool was Free Comic Book Day?
Oh, it was so amazing. I know that I added a few
Yeah.
comics to my collection.
Yeah, more than a couple. There's just so much to read.
It really is. But moving on to this week's show, we will be taking a look at women who work in our favourite medium in the comic book world.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at moving pictures and also at Itsy-Bitsy Spider.
Yes, Ray will be joining me a bit later on to have a look at one of the best written female animated roles, in my view, Daria.
Of course.
Oh, Daria.
And I will be speaking with Karen Beilharz, who is a local writer who's come out with a really quite beautiful and important graphic novel.
Awesome, sounds like a brilliant show.
Well, of course it's going to be a brilliant show. We're in it.
Yeah, but no, that doesn't even mean anything. It's more important than
Just go review something.
Ow. I so wish we could start this segment with Led Zeppelin's The Immigrant Song. I could just sing
no,
it.
but we
Like,
can't.
I could just hum a few.
We cannot afford the rights.
Fine. Killjoy. Anyway, the book that we're looking at this week is truly an immigration story. It's an immigrant story. It's called Gone to Amerikay. It's by Derek McCulloch with amazing artwork by Colleen Doran. And it tells the story of Irish immigrants coming to America.
I think it's quite ironic that McCulloch, I mean, even given his name, is not actually Irish. He's not even American, for that matter. But you've got Doran, who actually is American with Irish background, so it balances out.
It is, but I mean, even though this is a story about Irish people, do you think it's actually an Irish story? Like, I feel that there's a certain level of universality about it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, it's a story about immigrants, regardless of where they come from. But I felt like there was kind of an Irish style to the storytelling.
Yeah, there is a certain lyricism and a melancholia that runs through this story. Even in the happy parts, it's kind of still bittersweet. Like, it's a true Irish tale, I guess.
Yeah, and it's an Irish tale of 3 different Irish people coming to America.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that they're coming in 3 different time periods.
Yeah.
You've got Kiara in 1870, you've got Johnny McCormick in 1960, and you've got Lewis Healy in 2010. And it's 3 so very different stories that actually, they interconnect in quite surprising ways.
They really do. And there's also 3 very different reasons for them to come to America. I mean, Kiara, 1800s Ireland, not a fun place to be living.
Really.
So she jumps on a boat with her young daughter Mari to get to America for a new, better life. Johnny wants to be a musical star, so he rocks up with his guitar and starts hitting the pavement with his music. And then Lewis has a really interesting story because he's actually trying to find the origin of a song that really inspired him as a child. So it's a bit of a quest for him. Apart from the story, which is fantastic. The thing that really got to me, once again, is the art style.
Again.
Me with the art, I know.
Yeah, but, you know, it is fantastic in this. I mean, it's beautifully drawn. I've really dug Doran's work ever since I saw her Sandman issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing that I really love about Doran is she has this amazing ability for scope in her artwork. There are so many panels in Gone to Amerikay which I couldn't turn the page. I was so busy looking at everything that was in these amazing pictures. I mean, quite early in the book, there's a 2-page spread and each panel has each of the characters arriving, I guess it's at Ellis Island
with
for
the evolving
America.
skyline.
With the skyline. And it's just, I couldn't tear myself away, and it was only like 5 pages into the book.
That is quite special. I mean, for me though, what did it for me about the artwork was the texture, the flavour, if you like, of it. I mean, when you're doing something like this, where you've got the 3 separate time periods, but it's all in the same place, you've got to convey that difference over time. But also really get that sense of sameness at the same time, so you know it's the same place.
Yeah.
It's a tricky tightrope to walk, but Doran nails it in this one.
She totally does. I also love when you see a work that the artist and the writer have worked so beautifully together to create such a complex story, because it really is, there's a lot going on in this story, but never do you ever feel like they're laying it on thick.
Yeah, I know what you
know what
mean.
I mean?
There's so much going on in this story. It goes from funny to tragic to terrifying in the space of a few pages, but you never feel like it's getting away from you. I mean, it holds your hand, it carries you through this. It does keep you going with the story.
It does, and that's where I think this feeling of universality really comes in. I mean, regardless of your background, where your family's from, where you're from, doesn't matter. Everybody can get something out of this book. It's not just a story of 3 people, you know, it's the story of a country. It's really fascinating.
Do I even need to ask?
Bye. Bye. Really, I mean, it's a romantic story, it's a tragic story, it's a comedy, it's a thriller. It has moments in there that blew my mind that I had no idea actually that was the way it was going. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
No, we won't do that.
Fantastic. So I think everybody should read this book.
Yeah,
it's
look,
beautiful.
I love it too. It's a fantastic story, and I think in a country like Australia that has such a multicultural base, it's an important book as well. I really think this is one everybody should check out. It's fantastic.
It so is. I'm just going to hum the first bit.
No.
Ooh!
Don't worry, I got it. Okay, it's interview time once again on Kapow, and today we are speaking with Karen. Karen, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's great to have you here. Now, you've been behind an anthology that we're looking at here, Kinds of Blue, an anthology of comics about depression. Now, how did you get started on this? What was the momentum behind it?
Well, I've always wanted to write comics, and I just couldn't think of a way to do it because I'm a writer, I'm not an artist.
Sure.
And then I was reading Kieran Gillen's blog, Kieran Gillen, who writes X-Men and Thor and Phonogram, which is one of my favourite comics.
Oh, yeah.
And he said on his blog that his early work was all 5-page stuff because 5 pages was the most he could get an artist to finish.
Yeah.
And I went, maybe I could do something similar. So I asked all these friends of mine who are artists to work with me on these 5-page comics. And
it does look fantastic, I've got to say, and it's great to every 5 pages have a new art style. That really jazzes it up. Now you wrote most of the stories in here, yeah?
Yeah, I wrote 10 of the 13 pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And now you sort of self-published on this.
Yep.
How did you find going through that? Fairly simple to do, or a bit of a thing to get into?
It was a bit of an adventure. I've never done this before at all. I've worked a little bit in publishing, but never in comics at all.
Right.
And everything I learned from basically following the professionals on Twitter and getting pearls of wisdom from them about writing and editing and lettering and colouring and all the rest of it. So it was very much everyone who worked on it. I think most of them had never been published before as well. So we all learned together through the whole process.
It must have been a fantastic learning experience going through it. And I mean, it's such an important thing to be looking at, the whole concept of depression. I mean, is this a personal thing for yourself that you've had to that you've wanted to look into this area?
Yeah, my husband suffers from depression. It became quite bad during about the 3rd year of our marriage. We've been married for 12 years now.
Right.
And then as I learned more and more about the illness, I realised that at times I've had it myself and have been quite down. And then it's just interesting that it's quite a widespread illness, but despite it being widespread, not that many people understand what depression is and what it looks like and what can actually help. So this series of pieces kind of grew out of a lot of the thinking and experiences that I'd had about depression and my desire to communicate that with other people. Because part of the problem is when you have depression, it can be really hard to communicate to someone else why you're depressed.
Sure, there's that sense of isolation.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is a stigma as well, you're right. So it is great to have something, an outlet like this that's going to bring that story to people. How are people going to be able to get a hold of this?
It's available online. The web address is on the back of that postcard.
Yes, we have a postcard here. We'll be putting that up on the screen there.
Yep. And so you can read the entire anthology online, and if you like it, please consider ordering a copy from us through that website.
Fantastic. And you're going to be at Supernova as well.
That's right. Yeah. So we'll be at Supernova Sydney and at Supernova Brisbane in November.
Fantastic. All right. Well, look, everybody should look out for this. Kinds of Blue. Definitely well worth a look. So Supernova online. Check it out. And look, Karen, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Now, Sonya, I am going to go out on a bit of a limb here and guess that you are a bit of a Black Widow fan.
Well, you will be surprised, sir.
Really?
Yeah, I've never been much of a Black Widow fan.
I am shocked and stunned.
As well you might be. I've just never found a Black Widow story that really engaged me, that I could actually get into and access. I mean, cosmetic similarities to Catwoman aside,
This is what I was thinking.
catsuit, biffo, strong woman, I've just never been drawn towards her.
Not even with the red hair?
Not even with the red hair, which is strange.
Well, there you go. Well, how about after you read Itsy-Bitsy Spider? Has that turned you into a fan?
Not quite.
No?
But my feet are firmly on the path.
Ah.
Devin Grayson's Black Widow is pretty damn cool. I mean, she is pretty awesome. Plus, in Itsy-Bitsy Spider, you get 2 stories, 2 artists, and 2 Black Widows. So it's like a bargain book.
It is that. And it's an interesting idea, too. I mean, as most people would know, Natasha Romanoff, before she was an Avenger, was a Russian spy.
She was.
So what happens after her former masters train up and release her replacement?
Explosions, mysterious serums, and massive, massive guns.
Okay. Well, in the first half, I'll give you that. That is
Yeah.
correct. But honestly, I actually preferred the second half. You know, it's more of a true spy story rather than this blockbuster action film that the first half is. I mean, the biffo is entirely decent in the
awesome.
first half, it is. But I wasn't really hooked until it got into the, hidden microphones and satellite surveillance and everything like that. That's when I got involved. And also, I really preferred the art in the second part.
I don't know. I really like J.G. Jones's art in the first one, which is called Uninvited. It's brash and it's bold and it's colourful and it's got the words of the sounds and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, okay, but honestly, I just really liked what Scott Hampton was doing with the second half. It was all kind of watercolours, really reminded me a lot of Dave McKean's work.
Yes, it is actually quite McKeany.
That should so be a word.
McKeany.
McKeany.
Make it a word. No, but me being the art girl, actually,
Yeah.
what I really liked about this was the story.
Okay.
Devin Grayson did such an amazing job at putting this kind of pathos and depth into Natasha. I actually felt like I understood what she was coming from and the kind of weight of being a defective Soviet spy, I guess, and the Avengers and all that kind of stuff. But I got that all from the first story, the big Biffo one. That's where I found that. The second one I found, it was just too much of Black Widow, just Black Widow, the cold, calculated spy.
But isn't that what people are actually wanting to read?
Well, that's the beauty of this book, you get both of them. I mean, you can get your big James Bond explosions and warlords and serums and that kind of stuff in the first one, and then you've got your more subdued kind of Tinker Tailor soldier spy. Story.
Too many spies.
Too many spies in that sentence.
Look, honestly, I could have done without the first half. I mean, apart from the obvious necessity of introducing the character of Yelena Belova,
Who was pretty cool.
as the new Black
Black
Widow,
Widow, yeah.
apart from that, I didn't think it added anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'll have to respectfully disagree.
Oh, really?
Yes, everything except the respectful part. Look, I honestly think this is a buy from me.
Yeah.
It's so good to find a book that's accessible to someone who, if you're like me, not a big Black Widow fan, or if you've never actually read Black Widow before. I think this book really gives you a nice in into the story.
Okay, well, I can't go any more than a borrow. I'm sorry. If it was all like the second half, which is called Breakdown, it would have been a buy. But just with that first part, it dragged it down for me. I can't go more than a borrow. It dragged it down.
Really?
Yeah.
10 paces and then we throw things.
Okay.
All right then.
La 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 la.
What on earth could that be, Ray?
Well, yeah, for those of you who can't pick up on my amazing singing talents, I'm trying to let you know that we're reviewing Daria this
Yay!
week. Yes, so, but I must add that as a little warning,
Yes.
this review may contain language suitable for those who delight in the use of eloquence, in true Daria fashion.
Absolutely. Now, Daria is a spin-off series from Mike Judge's Beavis and Butthead series. Where, very good. Where Daria was actually a reoccurring character. She's voiced by Tracy Grandstaff. Now, the series ran from 1997 to 2002. There were 5 seasons, each with 13 episodes. And there were 2 TV movies as well. So we had Is It Fall Yet?
Yep.
And Is It College Yet? Which actually served as the finale in 2002.
Now, it's an American animated television series created by Glenn Eichler and Susie Lewis-Lynn for MTV. Now, it centers on a girl called Daria Morgendorffer, who is an intelligent, acerbic, and somewhat misanthropic teenage girl who observes the world around her. Simple. Now, what's the plot? Most of the stories of Daria concern the juxtaposition between her sardonic cynicism and the values or preoccupations of her suburban American town of Lawndale.
Yeah, Daria is 16 years old and she is cursed with a functioning brain. She also has the misfortune to see her family, her friends, everyone at Lawndale High School for what they actually are. Plus, she has the temerity to comment on it.
Yes. The show is full of allusions to and criticisms of popular culture and also the social classes.
Yeah, which is all still relevant today.
Now, fans were really upset because it took a very long time for it to be released on DVD. This was because Daria actually featured hundreds of popular songs at the time, and it would have been very expensive and difficult to try and obtain the rights to all of these songs. So consequently, when the DVDs were finally released only a couple of years ago, 99% of the music has changed.
Now, even though I loved the 90s music that was in the
me
original
too.
series because it was awesome,
Yes.
I do think Daria could be released today with an updated soundtrack.
Yeah, I think so too. That's exactly what I was thinking actually, because then you could release it to a whole new audience who would probably think that they're seeing it for the first time as though it's a new cartoon.
Absolutely. And it would work nowadays. I mean, the
Yes.
social stigmas and the commentary on archetypal behaviours, it's still here, it's universal, we all
Absolutely.
do it.
It's still all the same. And they do this by creating heightened caricature types, whilst at the same time maintaining that Daria is the outcast. Now, this is a very clever technique because what it does is it allows the protagonist, or Daria, to comment on the world around her without attracting criticism or judgment from the viewer. It's very clever writing.
It really is. I mean, I giggle all the way through Daria. I'm constantly waiting for the next backhanded comment.
Yeah.
You know, she's like an inner monologue that's constantly retorting against anyone who tries patience or is just plain rude.
Yeah.
You know?
When I watch Daria, I kind of not really waiting for the big gags, the laugh out loud belly laugh moments. I'm more chuckling along at just how clever it is. The animation side of things, well, it's not too flash. If you're a fan of Adult Swim, like I am, then you'll soon realise that it's more about content than it is over crayon.
I do like the style of Daria though. I think it really works for the series.
Oh no, yeah, don't get me wrong, the style itself is good. The animation though, well, I guess they don't have a lot of action to sort of animate, so, you know, I guess there's that excuse. It is well drawn, the characters themselves, especially when you have a look at the credits as well, how they show that all the characters,
in different costumes and things like that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. But I'm surprised that they didn't create any kind of comic afterwards.
No, there are no Daria comics. There is the Daria Diaries and the Daria database, but that's more fan stuff and fan info.
Yeah, we must add too, and I'm sure Sonya will agree, that this series is not just for a female audience either. Think of Daria as more of an everyman figure who speaks about and comments on all the insecurities and judgments and observations that we all have of the world around us. And I say that because it's easy to sort of have an aversion to Daria at first. She can be quite abrasive. It's like she's on some kind of pedestal with all her comments and her judgments. But after, if you stick with the series, you can sort of start to realize that she is a romantic character actually, looking for companionship. It's just unfortunate that she doesn't actually achieve any of this because of other people's ignorance, sheer ignorance. Now, on the other hand, I was thinking that one could argue that she is the way she is, or she puts herself in that position because that she's sort of so hyper intelligent that few would find her emotionally forthcoming, and therefore she kind of remains aloof out of her own doing. What do you think of that?
No, but she does have her best friend Jane, and they're pretty tight.
Yeah, I can see Jane being similar, which she is, but I don't know if she's the same. She kind of chooses to be in that situation.
True.
Whereas Daria, I don't know, she can't help but be an outcast.
Yeah.
Do I feel sorry for Daria? Should I feel sorry for her? Do you feel sorry for her? I don't know. Are we supposed to sympathise with this character?
No, I don't feel sorry for Daria at all. I mean, she's never put herself in as a victim. She's always quite strong. If anything, she's an anti-heroine.
You're right. Now, it's interesting that you say that because, as I said, it's difficult to see Daria anything but something that's someone who's omnipotent. She seems so untouchable at times. But luckily, the writers, what they do is they use Helen, who is Daria's mother and workaholic lawyer
awesome.
lady, as a device or a vehicle to make Daria fallible. She's the only character who can stand toe-to-toe with Daria and pull her into line and sort of ground her. And this is really important in the series because otherwise, if we couldn't empathize with her, then I don't think that many would go with her. We'd end up just sitting back and hating this character because she isn't fallible. Okay, we can't keep going on forever. We do have to rate it.
Rate it.
All right, so it's very interesting and it's a very intelligent series. It's for those who are interested in the die-hard action stuff, who are fanatics about that. I don't think it's really going to be for you, but I do suggest you give it a chance because this series is great. It's a must from me, a buy.
Yeah, absolutely. Daria is such a special series as
Yeah.
well. And never before or since have we seen such a strong female protagonist
No.
in Western animation. It's so awesome to see that.
It is.
It's beautifully written. The characters are fantastic and hilarious. It's got an amazing amount of humor to it. It's
does.
still relevant today. Oh, what else can I say? That's good. I mean, you gotta buy this. It's brilliant. Buy it. Buy it. Buy Daria. La 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 la. Oh, don't. Careful. Careful. Tell me what comic book you're reviewing this week. Answer me!
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Now tell me, or things are going to get really nasty for you.
All right, I admit it. We're reviewing Moving Pictures by Catherine and Stuart Immonen.
That was too easy. You realise that. I was going to bring out thumb screws and things.
We said no actual talk. We're just doing a bit.
Boring.
Come on, give me a hand up. We'll just do the review.
Fine.
All right. As you may have guessed from that little bit of business, the comic that we're looking at, Moving Pictures, begins with an interrogation scene.
And it's a really great way to start a story, isn't it? With all this tension and drama. I mean, from the get-go, you know that the stakes are really high in this, and you know who has the power.
Or you think you do.
Yes.
Yeah, if I could apply one word to this comic, to Moving Pictures, it would be surprising. I mean, this one really snuck up on me.
Yeah. Now, Moving Pictures started its life as a webcomic, but then Top Shelf Productions got a hold of it and decided to publish it as a graphic novel. And I am so pleased that they did. Like, I love my webcomics. I've got a few that I follow along, but there's something about Moving Pictures that feels like it needs to be read off the page. You need to hold this one. I mean, the story is about the tangibility of art.
Or more specifically, it's the story of Illa Gardner and Rolf Hauptmann, two people who find themselves on different sides of the same issue during World War II. You've got Illa, who's a minor curator of an art museum in Paris, and Rolf, who's a representative of the Military Arts Commission for the German Army. Yeah, one of them responsible for classifying and boxing up all these priceless works of art, and the other one is actually trying to hide them.
Yeah.
Hence the name of the comic, Moving Pictures.
But it's also got a double meaning, that title. I mean, it also talks a lot about how you get an emotional experience when you're looking at art, whether it's great works of art or just small pieces. And the thing that I find really interesting is that the comic style in Moving Pictures is a really simplistic kind of stark, it's a black and white, it's stark lines, negative space, it's very, very simple faces. But then interspersed is these amazing reproductions of great works of art. The Mona Lisa, you've got the Last Supper of Jesus. It's such a juxtaposition and it works beautifully.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's an odd combination, but it absolutely does work.
No, it does. Now, earlier you said that this one snuck up on you. What do you mean by that?
Okay, look, up until maybe nearly halfway in this one, I'm reading it, I'm thinking, okay, this one's a borrow. You know, it's well written, good artwork, but it's not going to be for everybody. It doesn't have, that thing that's going to get people involved. But then I get to about halfway and I really kind of fell into the story. That you get drawn into this fractured relationship between these two characters. You see the tension of the interrogation, and then you see in flashback Rolf and Illa actually meet each other and become lovers. And
it's bizarre.
It's so typical of this insane time in history, and it really did grab me. It took me right on board.
It really took you. So it made you change your mind then?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
No, this one's a buy. This one's definitely a buy. It really spoke to me. If you give this one time to open up to you and give you its secrets, it's well worth the time you put in. Much like a good interrogation, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Same sort of
now, I have to say, Al, I'm very glad that it changed your mind, because I would have brought out thumb screws, because in my mind, this book is absolutely a buy. Now, like you said, it does not have mass appeal. It's a very specific kind of style, but it is so beautiful. It's such an important story and time in history as well. It's a really intriguing time.
Yeah.
If you see it on the shelves of your local comic book shop, please do pick it up and have a look, because it's so worth it. It deserves to be on people's shelves and be read.
Yeah, this is one of those passion project sort of books that you should check out.
Buy this book. Buy Moving Pictures. Well, that's us for another week, guys. I hope you enjoyed our special.
Yes, and also you must remember, keep sending in your reviews. We have been loving the books you've been reviewing for us so far, and we'll be choosing a winner very soon.
We will. Only one more week to go, and then we'll be giving away 30 free comics from Free Comic Book Day, thanks to our friends here at King's.
Yes.
So get writing, guys. One more week.
One more week. Also another week until our next show, where we will be reviewing Ripped by Jay Busby, and also Rose by Jeff Smith.
Absolutely. Sounds like another awesome show.
Yes, it does, and it will be.
It will be. We'll see you next week, guys. Bye. No more specials.
Well, not for a bit, anyway. We'll,
We could do a cat special.
what, on cats? Or...
I could dress up a cat like Batman. It could be Cat Batman. Oh, come on. Or Bat Catman. It'd be Super Cat.
Leave me alone.
Come on.